You know, sometimes I see a headline, and honestly, it just makes me stop in my tracks.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this article about California's coastline.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's literally slipping away.
Wow.
And I know you're out there in California, so this has got to be hitting pretty close to home for you.
Oh, definitely something we're all paying attention to, for sure.
Yeah.
Coastlines change, it's natural.
Right.
But what we're seeing on the Palos Verdes Peninsula, just south of LA,
Right.
it's a bit more dramatic than just, simple erosion.
Yeah, this isn't just like the tide coming in and out.
No.
The article is called California's Coast is Slipping Away. NASA's radar data sounds the alarm.
Right.
And honestly, it paints a pretty intense picture of like chunks of land on the move.
Yeah.
And there was this one detail that really got me.
Okay.
The land is shifting towards the ocean at up to 4 inches a week.
Wow.
Is that normal?
4 inches a week, that is significant, yeah.
Okay.
That is definitely not your average kind of coastal change.
Right.
So what's happening is we're dealing with this ancient landslide complex.
Okay.
Basically a whole network of interconnected landslides. And it's been active for at least 60 years.
Wow.
Like a giant slow motion slide just happening beneath the surface.
Okay, I'm picturing it now.
Yeah.
But 60 years is a long time.
It is.
Why is this suddenly becoming such a big deal?
Well, that's where NASA's research comes in.
Okay.
They've been using this incredible technology. It's called UAVSAR.
Okay.
And it's mounted on a plane.
Wow.
And basically, they're scanning the land and getting this incredibly clear picture of what's happening beneath the surface. And their data shows that the movement is accelerating and the area affected is actually expanding.
So this isn't just things slowly creeping along like they have been for decades.
Right.
Something has changed,
Yeah.
and it's causing these landslides to speed up.
Exactly.
Mm.
Think back to those record rains that California had in 2023.
Oh, yeah.
And the heavy storms in early 2024, all that water soaking into the ground likely made the land even more unstable.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have these landslides, they're speeding up,
Uh-huh.
and they're affecting a larger area.
Right.
But what does that actually look like on the ground? I mean,
Yeah.
can people even see this happening?
Well, it's not always super obvious at first glance.
Right.
Because it is happening so gradually.
Okay.
But there are definitely signs. The article mentions hundreds of buildings already showing damage.
Oh, wow.
Cracks in the foundation, walls shifting, that kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
And one of the NASA scientists, Alexander Hanwerger,
Okay.
he says this movement is enough to actually put human life and infrastructure at risk.
That's pretty unsettling to think about.
It is.
So NASA is using this high-tech radar to monitor the situation.
Uh-huh.
And it's showing a pretty alarming trend.
Yes.
But is this just a Palos Verdes problem?
Right.
Or could this be a sign of something bigger happening along the California coast?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And thankfully, NASA isn't just focusing on this one area.
Okay, good.
They're about to launch this new project. It's called the Landslide Climate Change Experiment.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So they're going to be using airborne radar again.
Yeah.
But this time to study landslides along the entire California coastline.
A whole thing.
Yeah, they want to see how extreme rainfall, which we know is becoming more common with climate change,
Right.
is impacting landslide risk up and down the coast.
So this Palos Verdes situation
Yeah,
could be a preview of what's to come for other coastal communities.
it's certainly a possibility.
Wow.
The California coastline is so diverse, right?
Yeah.
With all these different types of geology and varying levels of risk.
Right.
Understanding how all these factors kind of interact with climate change,
Yeah.
that's really crucial for managing the coast in a sustainable way.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing to think about,
it is.
these incredibly powerful forces are at play right beneath our feet. I mean, we tend to think of the ground as being,
Right.
solid,
Okay, yeah.
unchanging.
Yeah,
This really challenges that notion,
it really does.
doesn't it?
It does. It underscores the importance of really understanding the geological history
Right.
of the places we inhabit.
Yeah.
The Palos Verdes Peninsula, for example, has this really long history of landslide activity.
Mm.
It's not a new phenomenon, but
Mhm.
what is new is this rate at which things are changing
Right.
and the potential impact it has on the communities there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those communities.
Sure.
What are the implications for people who live and work on the Palos Verdes Peninsula?
Right.
I mean, they touched on property damage.
Yeah.
But are there other concerns as well?
Well, property damage is a major concern for sure.
Right.
Imagine, your home, your house, that place where you feel safe,
Right.
secure.
Yeah.
It's literally shifting beneath you.
Yeah.
It's not just about the financial loss. It's also that emotional toll it takes
Oh,
on
absolutely.
people's lives.
Yeah. I can't imagine the stress
Yeah.
and uncertainty that must create.
Right.
Knowing that your home, your community are in danger,
Yeah.
but not knowing how quickly things are going to progress.
Right. Or what the future holds.
Exactly.
And this is where ongoing monitoring and research becomes so critical.
Okay.
The more data we have,
Yeah.
the better we can kind of predict these future trends
Right.
and help people make these really informed decisions.
I see.
It's about providing these communities with the tools and information they need to adapt and make the best choices for their future.
So if you're living in a coastal area,
Okay.
especially one known for landslide activity,
Uh-huh.
what are some things you can do
Yeah,
to stay informed and prepared?
that's a great question, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Be aware of your surroundings.
Okay.
Are there any visible signs of erosion or instability, maybe near your property or just in your community in general?
Okay.
Pay attention to your local news, any government advisories.
Right.
Those often provide updates on, coastal hazards,
Yeah.
evacuation plans.
So it's about being proactive
Exactly.
and taking responsibility for your own safety.
Yes,
Not just waiting for someone to tell you what to do.
precisely. And don't hesitate to reach out to local experts.
Okay.
Like your geological surveys,
Huh.
universities,
Right.
even environmental organizations
Yeah.
often have specialists who can give you really site-specific information and guidance.
It sounds like knowledge really is power in this situation.
It is.
The more you understand about the risks and how to mitigate them,
Right.
the better equipped you'll be to face the challenges ahead.
Couldn't agree more. And this brings up another really crucial point.
Okay.
What's happening in California
Yeah.
isn't an isolated incident. Coastal communities around the world
Right.
are facing similar challenges.
So it's not just about California. It's a global issue.
It's a global issue, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rising sea levels, more frequent, more intense storms.
Yeah.
These are global trends.
Right.
And they're putting pressure on coastlines everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And while, specific geology and risks, they may vary from place to place,
Right.
the underlying challenge is the same.
Yeah.
How do we adapt to this changing environment
Yeah.
and protect the communities and the ecosystems
Right.
that depend on our coasts?
It's a daunting question,
It is.
but it also feels like there's this sense of urgency
Yeah.
and a growing global awareness of these challenges.
Yeah, there is. And that's encouraging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work being done
Okay.
in different parts of the world
Uh-huh.
to monitor coastal erosion,
Yeah.
study the impacts of climate change,
Right.
and develop these innovative solutions.
So while this situation is serious,
Yeah.
it's not hopeless.
No.
We're not just standing by and
Yeah.
watching the coast crumble. There are people out there actively working to understand and address these challenges.
Exactly. And remember, this research is happening because people asked questions.
Right.
They sought out information.
Uh-huh.
They demanded action.
Yeah.
So if you are concerned about what's happening on your coast,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to speak up, get involved, be part of the solution.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
This has been such an eye-opening look at the dynamic nature of our planet
It is.
and the challenges facing these coastal communities.
Yeah.
We started with this one article about a specific location in California,
Right.
but we've ended up having this global conversation about the future of our coastlines.
It's amazing how one piece of research can spark such a wide-ranging discussion.
It is.
That's really the beauty of science and exploration.
Right.
It constantly pushes us to expand our understanding of the world
Yeah.
and our place in it.
Yeah, it really drives home the point that we're all connected, right?
It does.
What happens on one coast can have these ripple effects around the world.
Exactly like that old saying,
Right.
we all live downstream.
Right.
And in the case of coastlines,
Mhm.
we're all in this together,
Yeah.
facing these impacts of climate change and needing to find sustainable solutions.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
We've talked about the science behind these landslides,
Yeah.
the risks they pose to communities,
Right.
and the global implications of coastal erosion.
It's a lot.
It is. But for our listeners,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you hope they walk away with today?
I think it comes back to that power of knowledge and awareness.
Okay.
By understanding those forces at play along our coastlines,
Right.
both natural and, human-induced, we can make these more informed decisions about how to live sustainably
Right.
and adapt to this changing world,
Yeah.
It's not about being afraid.
Right.
It's about being informed
Right.
and empowered to take action.
And speaking of action,
Yeah.
you've given us a lot to think about in terms of what individuals can do to stay informed and prepared.
Uh-huh.
But what about the bigger picture?
Okay.
What kind of solutions are being explored to address coastal erosion
Right.
on a larger scale?
That's a big question, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Of course.
But there are some really interesting approaches being developed.
Well, like the...
So, for example, some communities are experimenting with these living shorelines.
Living shorelines? What's that?
Yeah, so they're using natural materials,
Okay.
like plants and oyster reefs,
Oh, interesting.
to help buffer the coast against erosion.
I see.
Others are looking at these innovative engineering solutions,
Yeah.
like building artificial reefs or breakwaters, things that will reduce that wave energy.
So there's a lot of experimentation and innovation happening,
There is.
which is encouraging.
It is, definitely. And it's not just about building physical structures.
Okay.
There's also a growing focus on nature-based solutions.
Like restoring wetlands and dunes, which act as these natural buffers
Uh-huh.
against storms and erosion.
So it sounds like there's a shift towards working with nature
Yes.
rather than trying to control it.
Exactly. And that's where I see a lot of hope.
Yeah.
We're starting to recognize that our coastlines,
Mm-hmm.
they're dynamic systems.
Yeah.
And the best solutions often involve working with those natural processes that shape them
Right.
rather than fighting against them.
That's a great point to end on.
I think so.
This has been an incredible journey,
It has.
exploring these complexities of our coastlines
Yeah,
and the challenges that they face.
absolutely.
And I hope it inspires everyone listening to take a closer look at their own coast,
Yeah,
learn about its unique history and challenges, and consider how they can be part of the solution.
got it.
So, for our listeners out there,
Okay.
we focused on California today
We did.
because that's where you are.
That's right.
But remember, these are global issues.
Are. Take what you've learned today and apply it to your own corner of the world.
Exactly.
Are there similar challenges facing your local coastline?
Good question.
What steps can you take to become more informed and involved?
Every action, no matter how small,
Right.
can make a difference.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure being here.
Until next time, keep exploring,
Yeah,
keep learning, and keep asking those big questions.
absolutely.
And keep looking ahead.
Yeah,
Because the future of our coastlines depends on us all.
it really does.